Which neighborhoods in San Mateo County offer the best walking experiences, whether you're pushing a stroller, teaching your kid to ride a bike, or just looking for a stroll to the park or downtown? Let me show you the most walkable neighborhoods on the North Peninsula based on my criteria for what makes an area truly walkable. I'm Raziel Unger, and I've been a realtor here for 18 years, and I've represented hundreds of buyers buying throughout San Mateo County, and I've sold over $1 billion in real estate. I grew up in Burlingame. I've always worked here on the peninsula, but in my 20s, I lived in San Francisco for 8 years because, hey, Burlingame and the rest of this area isn't as fun when you're young. When I lived in the city, first in North Beach for 4 years and then Noe Valley for 4 years, I really valued being able to walk everywhere. If you live in San Francisco now, or you're relocating here from somewhere else, and you want to live in a walkable neighborhood, stay tuned. First, let's talk about Burlingame. Burlingame has the most number of neighborhoods that I'd call super walkable. So here you can see an outline of Burlingame, and then downtown we have, which is right here. This here is Burlingame Avenue. And then there's also Broadway, which is just right over here. That's the other main area. Any of these areas are going to be super flat and walkable. So kind of up here, what we're looking at is the Berlin Gables neighborhood. Berlin Gables is a really cute neighborhood, tree-lined streets. It backs up to Washington Park, which you can kind of see right here. It's walking distance to Burlingame Avenue. I actually grew up on Cumberland Road here until I was 5. And I loved it because you can just walk everywhere. You have a brand new $52 million community center that just opened up about a year ago, which hosts after school activities, summer camps, a STEAM lab, has a huge ballroom for community events. I hosted an event for Rise Against Hunger in there a couple times. And then if we zoom in, here you can see the basketball courts. You can see over here is the Peninsula Tennis Club. It's a private tennis club. This is the high school campus. And then these are all fields for the high school. You have the largest public swimming pool between San Francisco and Santa Clara. You have 8 tennis courts that are for use for the community outside of school hours. And then you have a beautiful field here. I've coached baseball, and it's just a great spot. And then you have these 4 tennis courts that are lit. And again, here's the community center. So if you kind of look anywhere in the Berlin Gables neighborhood, this only has a few hundred homes. You get about 10 sales per year. I think it's at the top for price per square foot in Burlingame. The neighborhood just south of this is the Lion Hogue neighborhood. And Lion Hogue is just south of Bloomfield. It's north of Peninsula, and it's just east of Caltrain. Now, if you're wondering, like, what is real estate like in here from a value perspective, 2-bedroom home's going to start in the high $1 million range. A 3-bedroom's going to be about $2 to $3 million-ish, and then a 4-bedroom's going to kind of start like 3.5 to mid 4s. The other thing I really like about Berlin Gables is you get these cul-de-sacs that back up to the park, which are just killer. So you have right here and here, and also on Lexington, they kind of back up to Washington Park. If wherever you live in the neighborhood, you just kind of poke right into here, and I just think that's super awesome. So the most walkable neighborhood in Burlingame is going to be Burlingame Terrace, which is just going to be south of Broadway, east of El Camino, west of California, and then north of Burlingame Avenue, which is again the downtown, but it's really going to be north of Oak Grove. Here you have a lot of condos and apartments, which is fantastic. And then up here, this is really the heart of the Burlingame Terrace neighborhood. This is where I grew up. This is where my parents live. I just like it because it's kind of equidistant to both Broadway and Burlingame Avenue. If you have a kid who goes to Burlingame High School, they're going to be able to walk over here. You have McKinley Elementary School, which is very close by. Now, if we go a little bit north of Broadway, we're going to have the Burlingame Village neighborhood. And this is, again, east of El Camino, north of Broadway, west of California Drive, and then just right over here with Mills in the northern part of the neighborhood. And then you have Oxford and Cambridge, which are 2 of the prettiest streets in Burlingame. And of course, with names like that, you would expect them to be gorgeous. And then homes in here are going to be kind of similar to Berlin Gables. You're looking anywhere from, 2 bedrooms going to start about 1.8, 1.9, 3 bedrooms going to start around 2.3 to 2.4. And we're seeing some new construction homes in here that are on the pricier side too, probably closer to 4 million. And then if we look a little bit north of that, we're going to see the Burlingame Village neighborhood. This is not really walkable to downtown or to Broadway at all. It's just, again, east of El Camino, south of some medical offices here, west of California Drive, and then this is Caltrain right here. You have Village Park, which is fantastic. I actually grew up going here. I had my 3rd birthday party at Village Park. It's really beautiful. You have basketball courts, you have a preschool that's there, and this is really popular for kids playing soccer like 3 to 5 years old. What it is walkable, though, to Burlingame Village and then also the Ray Park neighborhood over here is Mills Peninsula Hospital, which hopefully you don't have to go to too often. And then you have Burlingame Plaza, which has some grocery stores. You have Little Luca, you have a Chipotle over here. You're also very close to the Millbrae Barton Caltrain station, which is just right over here. It's very convenient. So I have clients who live here and they work up in the city, and that's a huge value. Ray Park, again, this is going to be, again, flat, walkable. It's going to be starting to kind of roll up the hill. So if we kind of take a step back and we look at the whole peninsula, you're going to see as you go west, it starts to get hillier. So no surprise. So if you're kind of in these flatter areas like Ray Park, Easton Addition, you're going to start to see some rolling hills more up in this area. Ray Park homes are going to be a little bit pricier. When you get west of El Camino, it's a little bit pricier than east of El Camino. It's not that it's better, it's just the average square footage of homes is going to be higher here. So again, you have ranch style homes here, and then in Easton Addition, it's one of the two most expensive neighborhoods in Burlingame, at the top of a lot of people's list. 2 bedrooms going to be about $2 million to 2.2. 3 bedrooms going to be low 2s to high 2s, and then 4 bedrooms going to go anywhere from 3.8 to 6 million for new construction, kind of 5 to 6 million range. I like this neighborhood a lot though. This is basically ground zero for trick-or-treating in Burlingame on Cabrillo, although all these neighborhoods are certainly awesome. The last neighborhood I'll mention in Burlingame that's really fun and walkable is Burlingame Park. So this neighborhood is walking distance to Burlingame Avenue. You have Pershing Park here. It's the most expensive neighborhood because you have really large homes, you have a bunch of new construction, it is tree lined. It just looks really pretty when you walk through it. It's just kind of at the top of a lot of people's lists. Now let's take a look at San Mateo, give you some context for walkable neighborhoods there. So we were just kind of talking about Burlingame Park, which is here. This is San Mateo. San Mateo has 100,000 people in 27 neighborhoods. And of those 27, there's 5 that I'd put at the top of my most walkable list and another 5 that are a close second. The neighborhoods that I really think are fantastic are San Mateo Park, there's Hayward Park, there's San Mateo Village. So I'm gonna kind of zoom in on these so you can kind of get a better idea. So San Mateo Park is going to be the most expensive neighborhood in San Mateo, primarily because you can walk to downtown Burlingame. You have really wide streets. You have about 60 islands. So each of these is an island. They're really popular over 100 years ago before people had cars and Model Ts. If you had a horse and buggy, you'd kind of weave around these intersections and the horses wouldn't collide. You can see there's a bunch of tennis courts that people have privately. Like you see a lot of like 8 and 10,000 square foot lots. Homes in here can go up to 7 to 8 million at the real high end, but sweet spot is more like 3 to 5 million in San Mateo Park. It's arguably my favorite neighborhood on the whole peninsula just because of how beautiful it is. And then here we kind of have Hillsboro. These are going to be more estate homes in here. You're going to be a little bit farther from Burlingame Avenue, so it's less ideal. And then you also are going to be a little bit farther from downtown San Mateo, which is over here. And then this neighborhood here is Baywood and Aragon. Baywood Aragon is the second most expensive neighborhood in San Mateo. It is at the top of a lot of people's lists. Again, it's flat, it's walkable. You have downtown San Mateo right here. Downtown San Mateo has 171 different restaurants. The food scene there is far superior to Burlingame just for the diversity of food and the different cultural stuff that you can enjoy. And what's cool about this neighborhood, Baywood, is wherever you are, you can walk to elementary school, which is Baywood Elementary. You can walk to Aragon High School, and then you can walk to Burrell Middle School. I think that's a huge selling point. You're going to get about a 10 to 15% better value here than you will in, say, Easton Addition or Burlingame Park, like kind of comparable neighborhoods in Burlingame. If you work in the city, you might want to be a little bit closer. In Burlingame, you might be willing to pay that premium, but if that's less important, you're going to kind of get the same situation here in the Baywood Aragon neighborhood. Now, if we move a little bit more south, the other neighborhood I really love is right around Beresford Park, and this is going to be west of El Camino, south of 92, on both sides of Alameda. So you have San Mateo Terrace and the Beresford Manor neighborhood. This is pancake flat. It's really walkable. Prices here are gonna start in like the mid to high 1s and then go up to the low 3s. You're also walking distance to Hillsdale Shopping Center, which just had a several $100 million renovation recently. You have Beresford Park itself, and you have a huge playground. You have tennis courts, you have bocce ball courts, you have the Beresford Park and Rec Center. You have a very popular area for picnics. I've been to many birthday parties for kids at the playground here. There's a skate park, and then there's a community garden that you need to be on a wait list for years to get in there. Now, if we go a little bit more north, I do want to mention the Hayward Park neighborhood, which is just south of downtown San Mateo. This here is Central Park. You have the Tea Garden, you have Central Park here. In the wintertime, there's San Mateo on Ice, where they convert the outfield into a ice skating rink. What's kind of nice about Hayward Park is so centrally located. You can just shoot down El Camino to get on 92, and then 101 for commuting is pretty popular. Again, you're close to downtown and all the amenities there. The neighborhood itself is actually pretty narrow. You have Palm Ave that kind of bisects it, and you have Caltrain here. If you're buying a home, I try not to be like within a few houses here because you're going to get a little bit more Caltrain. So I think like kind of being in this sweet spot, at least a couple homes in from El Camino, is the way to go. The elementary school isn't rated as high as some others in San Mateo, so you're going to get a little bit better value. I'm not saying one's better or worse, but if you're looking at test score rankings, those things do affect real estate prices, whether we like that or not. Okay, the next neighborhood I want to share with you is the Fiesta Gardens neighborhood in San Mateo, really kind of Bay Meadows in particular. This is probably the best master planned community like north of Silicon Valley, in my opinion. Obviously there's Foster City and Redwood Shores, but this is a lot smaller, it's a lot tighter. You're kind of anchored by, we have a Whole Foods right here. This is all phase one. You have Wayne Way, which backs up to the 101 freeway here, but you have some really awesome parks. You have some good shopping. And then if we just go a little bit to the west, and you have some headquarters here for SurveyMonkey, Roblox, Franklin Templeton headquarters, and then you have some really good places to eat. You have Fieldwork Brewing Company, there's Blue Bottle Coffee. Paddock Park though is fantastic. This is all master planned, and this whole area here is townhomes. There's one collection of single family homes, which is in the southern part of the neighborhood, but pretty much it's gonna be apartments and townhome living, which may or may not be up your alley, but personally I think it's awesome. You are gonna pay a little bit higher property taxes in here. It's a Mello-Roos district. And Mello-Roos, it's basically when the developer develops a whole new neighborhood, there's a lot of infrastructure costs. And so they build that infrastructure cost into basically a tax that's paid over a 30-year period. So my clients who have bought in here, that hasn't really been a huge concern, but just something to be aware of if you are thinking about buying in there. Now that we've discussed a little bit about San Mateo, I want to show you Belmont. Belmont really doesn't have a downtown, and it sells at a discount because of that. All of Belmont is pretty much going to be rolling hills. The yard may or may not be on the same level as the house or the kitchen. The neighborhood up here, this is called Hallmark. And that would be my favorite neighborhood in Belmont if you're looking for something that's flat and walkable, but there's nothing that you can walk to from a shops and dining perspective. It does back up to Water Dog Lake, which is fantastic. And again, you kind of have Hallmark Drive here. You have Crystal Springs Cross Country Course overlooking 280. I used to run here a lot in high school when I did cross country. But that's kind of it for Belmont. You also have one neighborhood here in the flats that is walkable to some of the shops here, but I wouldn't say it's like extremely walkable in terms of what you can walk to. Now let's move a little bit more south of Belmont down to San Carlos. San Carlos is kind of bisected into four. You have these two hillier neighborhoods here like Beverly Terrace, and then down here you have Howard Park and White Oaks. This is at the top of a lot of people's list. I would say it's very comparable to Burlingame from that perspective, from a community vibe, the different types of restaurants that are there. The downtown is really cute, and there's a lot of good places to eat. Town is one of the best restaurants on the whole peninsula in San Carlos. And actually what's nice about San Carlos is there's no paid parking downtown. So there's no parking meters, which I think is pretty nice. So if you're kind of walking distance from here, that's going to increase price, of course. And here you have Burton Park, which is the best park in San Carlos. And if you live in any of these flat areas, it's going to be really kind of convenient. They just had Hometown Days a few weeks ago, and that's a big festival. It's a couple days. Burton Park also has tennis courts, has basketball courts, bocce ball courts. You have the playground here. There's a school nearby. I think that's a huge selling point for people who kind of want to be walkable. Now let's talk about pricing for San Carlos. You're going to be looking a little bit less than Burlingame. You're probably looking at a 2-bedroom is going to be in the mid to high ones. A 3-bedroom is going to be starting around $2 million in these flatter areas, and it's going to go up to like the higher 2s. A 4-bedroom is kind of start in the higher 2s and then go on up to like 4+. The sweet spot is probably going to be like 2.5 to 3.5 million. I just sold a property here on a 8,000 foot lot for a little under $3.4 million, and that was a great buy. There were a number of offers on it, and it just goes to reflect like how sought after these areas are in San Carlos. And then the southern part of the neighborhood is going to be Eaton. The west part of the neighborhood is going to be Alameda. And then you have Britton Avenue, which is a freeway exit off 101. You might be familiar. There's a big REI here on the corner, which I love to frequent. And that's kind of it for San Carlos. Okay, let's move a little bit south down to Redwood City. And this just gives you some context of all of Redwood City, which does include Redwood Shores, Bear Island, but these aren't really walkable neighborhoods. So we're just going to want to look in here. One of my favorite neighborhoods is Edgewood Park, which is just in this pocket. You have older historic homes. It is beautiful. It kind of looks like San Mateo Park and Burlingame Park a little bit. Some homes in here are over 100 years old. It's kind of bordered by Alameda to the west. This is San Carlos to the north, and then this is where you have El Camino, and then this is downtown Redwood City here. Downtown Redwood City has really been revitalized over the last 10 years. You've had millions and millions of dollars going in for new construction. There's a lot of really good places to eat. I love going down there. There's a big movie theater. There's Fox Theater. There's the San Mateo County Historical Museum. It's just overall like a really fun vibe, and I kind of call it pretty cosmopolitan. It doesn't feel too suburban. It doesn't feel too urban. It's just kind of like right in between. So you have that, and then you have this whole area here of Mount Carmel. This is all, again, going to be walkable to downtown Redwood City. Let's jump now a little bit more north to Millbrae. Again, you have Burlingame here. You have San Bruno here. The neighborhood I really want to highlight for you, though, is just west of Broadway. This is the downtown in Millbrae. You kind of have Broadway here, you have Magnolia, you have a Trader Joe's. They have a bunch of good restaurants. There's some really amazing Asian restaurants all throughout here. It's a little bit better selection if you're into any type of Asian food than Burlingame, for example. San Mateo has a really good mix as well. And I think this neighborhood here is fantastic. This is going to be a lot of older homes. This is going to be flat. It's starting to get a little hillier, more up here, but you rarely see homes pop in this neighborhood. You're getting about 10 to 15 sales per year. It's going to be a little bit better value than in Burlingame and other towns, but the schools are top ranked in Millbrae, so you're absolutely going to pay for that. You're looking at 2-bedroom in this neighborhood. I've seen a couple recently sell a little over $2 million. A 3-bedroom is going to start in the low 2s and then go on up to the higher $2 million range. And there's not as many 4-bedrooms in here. There's mostly 3-bedroom homes. So this is an area that you're going to definitely want to consider if Millbrae is important for you for 280 access or getting up to the city. The weather does change a little bit, like the more north you go. And then once you get up into the hills of San Bruno, South San Francisco, Daly City, the weather's going to be meaningfully different from a sun perspective than down here. I hope you enjoyed this video about some of my favorite walkable neighborhoods in San Mateo County. I'd love to be your Peninsula real estate resource of choice. Please reach out to me via email or shoot me a text, and I'd love to connect with you. See you on the next video.